friends. Thank you for that warm welcome. I really do appreciate it. And we also appreciate you sticking around and helping us with all these virus attacks. Now, we give a special commendation to Chris Caldwell because he came up with a program that we're going to be using to stop all you hackers from hacking into our bank accounts and stealing all of our money, because we're getting sick and tired of this. Now today we have a special guest for you, and his name is Scott Henderson. And he's going to be telling you about all this crap here that he found on the lunar surface too. You know, like alternators and spark plugs and all kinds of good stuff down there now. Hey, isn't it there, friends? And he's also found the place where all this crap and all this junk was actually thrown into, where all these Apollo missions were supposedly made. Oh, that's a real good one, because it certainly is going to show you that you just can't photograph stuff without spark plugs and Bob the Builder's toolbox and these here alternators from them cars there that you're going to be seeing pretty soon. So, without further ado, take it away, please, Scott Henderson!
Now that, I'm not sure, that looks like an old Indian head or something, yeah.
It's painted.
Yeah.
Okay. And you see how the astronauts have shown it to you? Right off the top of the handle?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And if you want to go looking for stuff, just let the astronauts point it out to you.
Yep. Now, obviously, I'm sure a lot of people will come back and say, wow, you guys over at Globebusters really have a vivid imagination seeing all this stuff in this, but to that, I would say maybe to some degree you have to stretch your imagination a little bit, but then there's other stuff that is so blatantly wrong and that cannot be denied that, at this point, I think it's pretty much a foregone conclusion that what we're seeing here was not shot on the moon. And, the likelihood of it being shot in a landfill is exponentially higher, especially with all the rain, mud, alternator parts, old cars. I mean, what makes more sense ultimately when you really get past the idea that we are being deceived here and what we're being shown here is a load of bollocks, then suddenly it's not such a stretch of the imagination when you put it in perspective and realize where NASA was shooting this stuff. And they were using this stuff for training shots, right?
Exactly. That's where they were doing all their training.
Which again still floors me, but I suppose that if I were NASA and I wanted to keep it as inconspicuous as possible, I would probably do something like that. It's kind of like, I don't know if you saw this or not, Scott, but Jaron, about 2 years ago, was looking around at a place up in Canada called Devon Island, and is just kind of looking around all over the place, and first thing he finds is some vehicles, and it looks like they've got NASA stickers all over them. And then lo and behold...
Maybe you should tell him it was like on Google Earth. He wasn't actually there.
Yeah. No, he wasn't always there, or already there. It was on Google Earth. But, the fact that came up there was pretty amazing. And then, of course, all the fanboys come back and say, well, obviously that's where they do all their training. Why? What resemblance, other than terrestrially, does Devon Island have to Mars?
That's where that road comes from.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. And thank you so much for coming on today and talking about this. And everybody, Paul, let everybody know all the videos that you and Scott did together are on your channel and on that playlist, or let them know what they need to know.
Yeah, all of them are available on my YouTube channel. It's just Paul on the Plane, and put together in a quick little playlist. So there's 7 so far, and hopefully, if Scott's willing, we can collaborate on a few more here in the near future. I would like that a lot.
Yeah, super. Scott, do you have anything else that you want to share on this that you want people to take a look at?
Well, I think we've pretty much covered everything. We got enough interest with people to take a closer look at the photographs. I mean, just about any photograph you pull up, there's something in there to be seen. There really aren't any random photos out there. I mean, I've spent thousands of hours studying them. And when I see them displayed now, or somebody's trying to debunk them or whatever, and I just look at them and I see what the problem is with the photograph, it's just hilarious, But I just hope everybody takes a look at the videos we put up and the photos that I have at allis.com. David Percy and Mary Bennett, very kind to put the photographs up for me. He spent quite a bit of time helping me do the color plates up and make sure that they were clear and easy to understand.
That's awesome. So, Scott, obviously you have got tens of thousands of hours in looking at the Apollo missions and kind of going through the stills and the video footage and all that. Are you continuing that on at this point and looking at ISS footage, and
Orion
things?
Oh, yes.
Excellent.
Oh, yes, all of that. I've looked through all the documentation for everything right back through from the late 1950s on with it. And Orion is just amazing. It takes a long time to understand how they present the documents. Like if they're talking about radiation and you're reading a document for an hour or so and they're talking about rads per hour, right? And then all the graphs are per minute.
Yeah.
And you don't realize that you're reading that. So, the numbers are down. It's only 0.05 this or whatever, right? Well, it's per minute, right? You multiply it by 60, right? And Orion, and I've read through everything, and there was one little asterisk on it, and it said, this is by this simulation software for all the graphics and charts that they do on it. It's not the actual radiation numbers that they so-called collected on it.
Yep.
And at no time has NASA ever given a radiation number from outside the craft.
Yeah, that's interesting, isn't it? Considering which radiation they're supposed to be.
Right, and then so how do you know how well the craft is protecting it?
Yeah, well, I don't think with a few layers of aluminum foil it's protecting much of anything. and it even admitted by NASA that it's very kind of shoddily built or built with foil and things that obviously not lead, like you would not even anything as heavy as a lead apron that you would get put over you at the dentist's office. So yeah, they some things it's just better for them simply to not address at all. Otherwise they wind up burning themselves, because they do. Every time they open their mouth and they start talking about something, they get burned on it, because then we turn it around and say, well, what's going on with this then? So I think that they really need to be very careful and very selective about what they say. A very interesting topic, to say the least. Scott, so do you make YouTube videos, or I don't even know if you have a channel, or how do you
I don't.
work? Okay,
No,
through Allis?
At the moment, just the only stuff I have up is on the Allis site and what Paul and I have done.
Okay.
I've been on the air with Marcus Allen a couple of times.
Okay. All right. Well, I was just curious if somebody wanted to find your work.
Websites out of Clearview, Florida. It's Let's Talk Radio with Todd Bates.
Let's Talk Radio. Okay. I will put that in the show notes for everybody, so people can go back and hear your other interviews and some of the other stuff that you've covered. But you're doing some great work, Scott, and it's fascinating. And I don't know where you find the patience to pour through tens of thousands of hours worth of, video and photographs and stuff. But obviously it is kind of compelling, when you realize you're onto a bunch of frauds. It kind of, I guess, gives you a little motivation, right?
Well, when you find something, we didn't actually cover the one with the pile of dirt with the gloves in it. When I found that one, I had about the same reaction as Bart Zabrell when he describes finding, when he realized he was sitting with the footage in his household and how dangerous it could be. I mean, I was sitting for about an hour just with my heart racing going, oh my God, look what I found, right?
Yeah.
And then I really knew what I was looking for, right? Mm-hmm. And then hundreds of things.
Yeah, I know the feeling. A little over 2 years ago, or about 2 years ago, we were doing an ISS show on Globebusters, and it was one of those times when we were watching the ISS, and they started doing a pan from left to right, and we're just going, oh, come on, don't tell me they're going to actually show a 360 pan. And we're getting all excited watching it, and we pan, and the Earth, it goes all the way across the Earth. It keeps panning. The Earth is completely out of the picture. And we're just in utter amazement going, oh my God, are they going to pan around to show outer space? And the next thing we know, it keeps panning, and here comes the Earth right back into the frame again, right? Yeah. It continuing on in the same direction. Blew us all away. But that's one of those finds that you're just like, oh, wow. NASA really blew it.
I went through the photographs in chronological order. So by the time I got to Apollo 17, I studied each of the astronauts as well, so I understood their character, their home life, how they interacted between each other, that kind of thing. So I knew exactly the type of characters they were going in there. And it wasn't very long that I'm sitting looking at it going, oh my God, these guys are just playing in the mud.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And there's a wet flag, and then I realized that 45 years and nobody has seen this thing as wet.
Yeah, it's amazing. Well, sometimes
I call it the Emperor's New Clothing Syndrome.
Yep. Yeah, it's kind of like that story.
It's exactly what it is.
Yep. There's kind of a story that, they talk about the Native Americans supposedly had never seen ships before. And there's this story out there that when they had come near the shore, the natives could not see them because they had never seen anything like that before. It never entered their paradigm. And in a way, that's kind of true. It really takes a fresh perspective sometimes for something to come out that a whole room full of people can miss. And then there's that one unique individual that, looks at things just a little different. And it's like, oh my God, how did we miss that? So gotta love it.
Well, that's the thing is, when the original researchers were starting out, okay, they were using their own personal knowledge or skills, looking at the information, okay, and you have somebody that has knowledge of the rockets and everything else, and Bill Casing comes up with it and he says these things couldn't fly. He looks at the photographs and say that couldn't happen, right? There's no blast crater. This couldn't happen. That couldn't happen. It should have been a done deal right then.
Well, thanks, Scott, for stopping by and showing us all these anomalies that are on the surface of the moon set. Nothing more, nothing less. And in fact, you're right there, because Expat Taffy has been saying all along this here was taken in an industrial waste dump. And here's the evidence right down there, too. Now, what the hell's that doohickey doing there on the surface of the moon, if it's the moon now? Isn't that right, friends? Now, there's no way that any of this stuff should be on a real moon now. Now, come on, give me a break here. And why would this bag be just thrown all the way under there, underneath the rocket bell, which in fact this here's nothing more than a bucket that some dude has just taped or glued onto the bottom of this here prop. I can tell you that right now. And not only that, but come on, I mean, cars, spark plugs, alternators, good God almighty, we're gonna find Santa Claus and the Easter Bunny up here pretty soon, now aren't we there, friends? Oh, my dear God, just keeps getting better and better now, doesn't it there, friends? And if I was you, I would take this United States of America down, because that's a disgrace to the country now, isn't it there, friends? Oh, man, I don't know. It should be over here. It should be take to the garbage dump where it came from. Oh, I tell you one thing, man. This Apollo, I'm sorry there, friends, but this Apollo just makes me laugh harder and harder every time I see shit like this. Just about made me fall off my chair there, to tell you that right now. Oh, my dear God. Well, anyways, that's our spiel for today. And all you pans out there like Jeff Dave and all that mysterious mystery and that screwball crew, you know, the dude that keeps getting screwier every second of the day. Oh, man. Oh, by the way, Screwy, hey, why don't you go and phone Wag off there and ask him if that you'll take your lousy guitar playing, eh, and take it to his cousin to see if you can get into his band. Oh, boy, oh, boy, oh, boy. Oh, that's a real bad guitar playing there. Screwy crewy, isn't it now there, eh? Oh, it's no wonder you're not in a band, because nobody would take you playing that shit like that. That's no wonder all you do is sit around sending us viruses because you got nothing better to do with your crazy, useless life now, do you there, mate? Oh boy, I'm having a lot of fun here today because those bastards ended up getting $6,000 off of my Visa card. And there's no way I'm letting that get away. The only thing I can do is laugh at these crazy NASA numbskulls because they're trying to get us off of YouTube. Well, I'll tell you what, mate, it ain't gonna work now, is it there, eh? Is you just wait, we're gonna get you guys back. You know what, haven't you ever heard that karma's a bitch when she comes around calling for you? Isn't that right there, Jeff, Dave, and Screwy Crewy and your old crewy of crazy NASAlytic bandits now, eh? Oh, my dear God, anyways. So, that's our video for today. That's, you guys all out there, have the rest of the good week. And from Expat Taffy and myself, you guys have a great day out there now. Mr. Strange out.